Welcome to Unlocking Fertility, and today we're going to talk about a topic that has been requested a lot. I get a lot of questions on this. A lot of you have requested information on this. So today we're going to talk all about miscarriages, and mainly from a Chinese medicine perspective, because I think Chinese medicine offers so much more insight into miscarriages than Western medicine does. And if you are new here, hi, I'm Katherine Rohland. I'm an acupuncturist and Chinese medicine practitioner who specializes in fertility with a success rate over 95%. So let's dive into miscarriages. And today we're going to be talking about why miscarriages happen from a Chinese medicine perspective and how you can support your body to prevent miscarriages happening. And then I'm going to dive into some questions that a lot of you have left for me on social media because I really want to be able to answer your questions directly. And first, I want to start off by saying that if you have suffered a loss, if you've suffered a miscarriage of any form, I am so deeply sorry for your loss. I know how hard that must feel. And while I myself have not suffered a loss, I've worked with many, many other women who have. And so I understand how hard that must be for you. And I also want to say that it's not your fault. And I think that's important for me to note at the beginning because as we go throughout this podcast, I am going to explain ways you can support your body to prevent a miscarriage. But in no time am I saying that that miscarriage was your fault. And I'm going to explain why in the first aspect of why miscarriages happen from a Chinese medicine perspective. So let's dive in. From a Chinese medicine perspective, the number one reason that miscarriages happen is destiny. Chinese medicine is a very spiritual practice, and destiny, your blueprint for life, is a big part of it. And now when I say miscarriages happen because of destiny, it's destiny of your destiny, it's your partner's destiny, and more importantly, it's the destiny of that soul and that spirit that was trying to come in. And so I think we just do need to acknowledge at some point that there are things that are out of our control, and destiny is one of them. We can't control the destiny of another spirit. We can't control the destiny of another soul. And I talk about this a lot with Kat Dow in my podcast episode about spirit babies. So if you're interested in more about that, please check out that episode. Now, from a Chinese medicine perspective, there are other reasons that miscarriages happen also. And when I say other reasons, it can be a combination of all of them. It can be a combination of destiny and then everything else that I'm going to mention. So one of the biggest reasons I see that miscarriages happen is a weakness of the energy of our spleen. Now, in Chinese medicine, the energy of our spleen controls our digestive system, right? So it controls our ability to digest and absorb the nutrients from the food that we eat, and then use those nutrients to form things like blood and sex hormones that your body needs to really maintain a healthy pregnancy. Another big job from the energy of the spleen is to hold blood into place, hold our organs in place, and most importantly in this aspect, hold a baby in place. So when the energy of the spleen is weak, a few things could happen that could lead to miscarriage. One, your body's not getting the resources it needs to hold a pregnancy, right? When you become pregnant in that first trimester, your body needs to be able to double in blood volume to be able to support this growing fetus, to support a growing baby. And if your body doesn't have the resources to do so, it's going to be really hard to maintain the pregnancy. And again, if the energy of your spleen is weak, if you're not digesting and absorbing the food properly, that's going to lead your body to not having enough blood to support the pregnancy. And then, like I mentioned, if the energy of the spleen is weak, the energy of the spleen is responsible for holding a baby in place. So sometimes the energy of the spleen just does not have enough energy to do so, to support that aspect of life. And in the next part, I'll go over how you can support the energy of your spleen to help maintain a pregnancy. But first, I just want to get through the possible causes of miscarriage from a Chinese medicine perspective. So a weakness in the energy of the spleen is one. And number two, it kind of goes along with this, but your body not having enough resources to support another growing human. So your body, before you get pregnant and in the first trimester, is prioritizing you first, right? So if your body doesn't have enough resources, enough energy, and in Chinese medicine, these resources are blood and yin, which is thick fluids in our body, which is sex hormones. It's qi, which is energy. It's thin fluids, which is hydration, and it's yang, which is, just energy and heat and fire in our body. If our body doesn't have enough resources to keep you safe and healthy, and then also to support another growing human being, it's just not going to do it. Because your body is protecting you. Your body is supporting you. So if you're struggling to get pregnant or you have an early term miscarriage, that could be a reason, is your body just doesn't have enough resources for it. And that can come down to your body's depleting resources, right? What activities are you doing that are depleting resources? Are you not getting the right nourishment through food? Or is there a weakness of the energy of your spleen? So even if you are eating the right foods, your body's not absorbing and digesting them properly, right? So there's a lot of reasons your bodies might not be getting the resources it needs to maintain a pregnancy. And if your body doesn't have the energy to grow another human being, which takes an abundance of energy, it's just not going to do it because it wants to put you first. It wants to keep you safe first. Recently I heard a statistic that being pregnant is like running a marathon every day, every single day, right? For 9 to 10 months. And that takes a lot of energy. So when you want to get pregnant, you want to maintain a pregnancy, we really need to focus on building up your resources and building up your energy. And the last reason we see in Chinese medicine that miscarriages may happen is an imbalance in the energy of Chong Mai. In Chinese medicine, we have different layers of energy in our body. We have different layers of channels in our body, and Chong Mai is one of those channels that sits in our constitutional layer. The constitutional layer of energy is the energy that we've born with. It's the energy that develops in the first 7 to 8 years of life, and throughout life, it holds our blueprint, our timeline, things that have happened to us, right? It holds all our trauma and our emotions in this really constitutional layer. So Chong Mai originates in the uterus and it's in the kidneys. And its job is to hold and supply blood and qi to the rest of the body. Chong Mai is what supplies blood to your uterus and your ovaries and your reproductive system. So having a strong Chong energy is vital for fertility. Fertility is one of the most constitutional acts because we are born with the eggs that will then grow into our children. So often I find when women are having trouble getting pregnant or maintaining a pregnancy, there's an imbalance at a constitutional level, and often it's an imbalance in the energy of Chong Mai. So the major thing that throws the energy of Chong Mai out of balance is trauma. And trauma can be big trauma, such as sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, abandonment, or it can be smaller traumas that happen consistently. It's important to remember, Gabor Mate says this, that trauma isn't what happens to us, it's how we emotionally feel it. It's how we take it on. It's how it impacts us. So anything in your life that impacts you strongly is going to affect the channel of Chong Mai and throw it out of balance. And then also anything that weakens the energy of the spleen or the energy of the kidneys consistently over time for an extended period of time will also affect the channel of Chong Mai, right? Again, channel of Chong Mai is a very constitutional level. So doing something once or twice is not going to affect it, but over time, the longer something is done to your body that is harming the energy of your kidneys or spleen, it could eventually reach that constitutional energy level. And the beautiful thing about these energy channels, right, the energy channels of Chinese medicine, is that everything can be reversed, everything can be healed, right? So if you have a lot of stored trauma in your body affecting the energy of Chong Mai, that can be healed. It can be healed in person with acupuncture. It can be healed remotely with remote energy work. It can be healed with mindset shifts and meditation, right? There's a lot of ways that these channels can be healed, but just know that none of this is like a life sentence, right? And that's what I want to get to next, is how to really support your body to prevent a miscarriage. So one, to prevent a miscarriage, we want to support the energy of the spleen. Now, when we're supporting the energy of the spleen or a lot of things in our body from a Chinese medicine perspective, we really just want to remove blockages to that energy working correctly, right? Because our body wants to heal, our body wants to procreate, right? These are the things that it's meant to do. And we just need to remove the things that are blocking it from doing so. So some things that weaken the energy of the spleen is cold, raw food and ice drinks, right? So cold, raw food and ice drinks, cold food, cold drinks are harder for your body to digest. They take more energy for your body to heat up and break down and assimilate into nutrients in your body. And over time, that strongly weakens the energy of your spleen. The energy of your spleen thrives in a warm and wet environment. So we really want to avoid cold and food, ice drinks, all the cold beverages and all of that stuff. And to give you an example of the importance of this, I want to give you a patient example. So I had a remote patient that I was working with who had 3 reoccurring miscarriages. She got pregnant really easy, but had trouble maintaining the pregnancy. And from a Western medicine perspective, like everything looked really good. Her labs were really good. She ate a really clean diet. She had a little stress in her life, but not overwhelming. She didn't over-exercise, right? Everything looked pretty good. But the biggest thing that was happening in her diet is that she was eating a lot of cold, raw foods. She started her morning with iced coffee. She would have a yogurt bowl or a protein shake for breakfast. She'd have sushi or salad for lunch, right? Lots of cold, raw foods. And so what we did is we switched it to a warm diet. We did remote energy work. And within 2 months, she got pregnant and maintained a healthy pregnancy. And so when I say that eating warm foods is vital to maintaining a pregnancy, I really mean it. It may seem simple and mundane, but it's truly, truly not. So to support the energy of your spleen, you're going to stop eating cold and raw food and drinks. You're going to want to also focus on what we call wet foods. Wet foods are hydrating foods. So things like soups and stews and cooked grains that hold moisture to them, they're really hydrating to our body, and they help our body create more stomach fluid, more stomach acid to help digest and absorb the nutrients from the food that we eat. Another big one that impacts the energy of the spleen is worrying and overthinking. And this is a big one. And this often comes back to an imbalance of the energy of Chong also. But worrying, overthinking, constant anxiety weakens the energy of your spleen over time. And if you are a worrier or you've had anxiety most of your life, you might be thinking, well, like, shit, what can I do about this? There's nothing I can do about this, but there's absolutely something you can do about this. And this is what I do a lot with my patients one-to-one, or in my membership, I walk you through how to do this, but it's really getting to the core of why are you worrying? Where did it come from? Where did it start? How is it showing up in your body? And then working backwards to really reprogram your mindset. Because I can tell you, I'm a person who used to constantly worry. I used to have constant anxiety, and really like low level constant anxiety. No one would ever say I was an anxious person, but it just was always in me. And I didn't even realize it for a while. But then I did this work, and I can tell you I am calm as a cucumber, right? Like there's things that get to me that anger me every once in a while, but I'm not going throughout my day with worry and anxiety, because these things are possible to overcome. And so then to prevent miscarriages, we want to make sure we're building resources in our body. But again, building resources comes back to removing blockages. So one, we're supporting the energy of our spleen so our body can digest and absorb the nutrients from the food that we're eating. And we want to stop doing those things that deplete our resources. So things that deplete our resources very quickly is over-exercising, high-intensity workouts, things like saunas and cold plunges, extremely depleting on the body, holding stored trauma and emotions, extremely depleting on the body, overworking, right? Working 12-hour days, not prioritizing sleep, all of these things are draining your resources. So it's really important for us to notice where you're draining your resources and stop those things, right? Like close up that leak in your body. And then we want to build resources. And building resources, I honestly think is fairly simple. You really just want to eat a diet rich in whole cooked foods, right? So good quality meats, good quality whole grains, fruits and vegetables, getting a real variety of foods in your diet, not being scared of saturated fat and dark meat. Those are wonderful things that your body needs to create yin, to create sex hormones in your body. It's really just about eating a well-rounded, balanced diet that's right for you and your body. And lastly, another big one is you're going to want to stop drinking coffee. Coffee depletes the energy of your kidneys and the energy of your spleen. Now, the energy of your kidneys is also closely linked to Chong because Chong is stored in our kidneys and it runs along our kidney channel. But more importantly, the energy of our kidneys is your reproductive battery pack. And essentially what you're doing by drinking coffee is you are draining your reproductive battery pack. And when we want to get pregnant and maintain a healthy pregnancy, we really want a strong battery pack. So stop drinking coffee. It is not supporting you, and it's not supporting your goal. And then lastly, you're going to want to heal any underlying issues. Any underlying issues from a Chinese medicine perspective is any symptom that's going on in your body. And things like a thyroid disorder or Hashimoto's, those are symptoms. Something like PCOS or endometriosis or fibroids or cysts, those are all symptoms of something that's going on in your body. Other things that are symptoms are painful periods, headaches, bloating, digestive issues, skin issues, psoriasis, eczema, rashes, acne, right? Anything that's going on in your body is a symptom of an underlying imbalance that could be making it hard for your body to maintain a pregnancy. And if you're not sure where to start with healing your underlying symptoms, please reach out, right? Because this is the work I do, is helping you understand where these things are coming from, why are they happening in your body, and how can you support your body to do what it needs to do, which is heal naturally. So now I just want to dive into some questions that some of you have sent to me. So the first one is, what is the cause of reoccurring miscarriages of 5 to 6 weeks? And that really is everything I just talked about. Another big one that I see is when women get blood drawn early in pregnancy, which I have to tell you, I don't understand the reason behind it. As someone who's had 2 healthy pregnancies and has never had my HCG tested at 4, 5, or 6 weeks to confirm a pregnancy. If you're not getting your period and you have a positive pregnancy test, it's a confirmed pregnancy. You don't need a blood test to confirm that pregnancy. But what happens when you draw blood really early in pregnancy is it destabilizes the energy of your spleen. And again, the energy of your spleen is responsible for holding blood in place. It's responsible for building blood. It's responsible for holding a baby in place. So often what will happen is women get their blood drawn at 4, 5, or 6 weeks to confirm pregnancy, and that destabilizes the energy of your spleen. It depletes your body of the blood that it needs. And if you don't have a robust spleen to be able to handle this, you don't have a robust amount of blood in your body to be able to handle this, it can end up in miscarriage. So just something to keep in mind. And if your OBGYN is requesting a blood test early in pregnancy, question why and see if it makes sense to you. You're always allowed to ask questions, right? You're allowed to ask questions with me, with your doctor, with anyone. You're the one in control of your body and your health. Another question, is there anything someone can do post-miscarriage to improve egg quality? Well, first, I just want to say, often we jump into believing that egg quality is the issue with miscarriages. Most of the times it's actually not. It's everything that I just mentioned. That being said, egg quality is an accumulation of your health at a very deep constitutional level, right? It's the accumulation of your health over time. So it's really focusing on supporting your health and supporting your body in the right ways, honestly, with everything that I just mentioned before. I also want to mention there's no actual test to test your egg quality. When you're doing IVF and fertility treatments, they will test certain things, but none are actually directly testing your egg quality. They can test your egg count. They can see how many eggs grow into embryos and all of this, but none of that's actually testing your egg quality. And when you're doing IVF and fertility treatments, it's really a false look at your eggs because your body's meant to prioritize one good egg in one cycle. And if you're asking your body to make 10 or 20 eggs in one cycle, they're not all going to be good eggs, right? Your body's always going to prioritize making one good egg. So another question is, do you really need to wait a month before trying to conceive again? This really depends on when the miscarriage occurred, right? Like at what stage. If it's a chemical pregnancy, no, probably not. If you needed to have a D&C or you had to give birth, then you don't have to, but I would, and there's no reason not to wait. Your body just thought it was pregnant. It just had an influx of hormones. There was likely some blood loss occurring. Give your body time to rebuild those resources and also give yourself a little time, right, to grieve the loss, to go through the emotions that you need to go through. 1 month or 2 months or 3 months is not going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. And a lot of times I think women get stuck also on this idea that your clock is ticking, so I need to start trying again right away. And we really just need to stop that rhetoric. Your clock's not ticking in the way that you think it is. And as long as you build and maintain resources in your body, your clock is not ticking quickly. Another question is, I feel depleted post-miscarriage and D&C. Can food alone help? And the answer to that is no. Food can help a lot, but as I mentioned before, the energy of your spleen needs to be strong to be able to digest the food. And then also you need to be able to make sure you're not depleting the energy from the food that you eat. A good example is that I like to give is thinking of an engine. If there's a leak in that engine and you keep putting oil into it, right? If you keep putting food into the tank and it's leaking, it's not going to get you anywhere, right? At the most, you'll stay at status quo, but you're definitely not going to fill up that tank. So you really need to stop doing the things that are leaking your energy, that are depleting your energy. Can the trauma of a miscarriage prevent getting pregnant? Absolutely, because the trauma of a miscarriage can affect the energy of Chong Mai, which I talked about earlier. But another aspect of Chong Mai is birth trauma. We see this a lot in C-sections, but birth trauma can be a miscarriage also, right? It depends how it affects you. Trauma is not what happens to you, but how it affects you. Another aspect of Chong Mai is it connects our heart and our kidneys. Our kidneys is our blueprint for life, and our heart is our ability to shine, to show joy, to live out the blueprint of our kidneys, right? And the heart must be open for our uterus to receive. And emotional trauma and stress is going to close down the energy of your heart, constricting the channel of Chong Mai and preventing a pregnancy. And again, I'm telling you this with the caveat that everything can be healed, everything can change. Another question, if 35 plus, should I be more concerned about a miscarriage? And I think absolutely not, because I'm assuming this question comes back to egg quality, and age is not the biggest factor when it comes to egg quality. The biggest factor that comes to egg quality is your overall health over time. So you could be 40, and if you're really taking good care of your energy, you're building resources in your body, you've worked through stored emotions and stuck trauma, and you're not depleting your energy through overwork, you're prioritizing rest, then your eggs could be amazing, right? Like there's no reason to say that just because you're over 35 that you have bad eggs. Another question I get frequently, and I got multiple times when I asked for questions about miscarriages, is what testing should I do? Now I want to start by saying I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner, so I don't do testing. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask for this, but I will tell you my opinion on it, which is that testing is not needed from my perspective. As a Chinese medicine practitioner, I understand what's going on in your body through signs and symptoms, through your tongue, through your pulse, and that's all we need, right? We can understand what's going on in underlying imbalance and how to treat it by what your body is telling you. Overall, I'll be honest, I'm not usually a huge fan of lab tests because what do you plan on doing them, right? You find out something's wrong. Maybe you take a pill, but is the pill really treating the underlying root cause? No. And from my perspective, it's always better for you and your body long-term to treat the underlying root cause. Another question, lots of women with PCOS have miscarriages. What's your take on what happens and how to prevent it? The how to prevent it is everything that I talked about already. The reason a lot of women with PCOS have miscarriages, and I actually don't even know if that's true. That's just someone said. I didn't look it up to confirm it, so I don't know. But PCOS is a depletion of resources at a very deep level. So if you have PCOS, it's a sign that your body does not have the resources it needs to maintain and grow another human being, right? And I talk about that a lot in my podcast episode that goes into all about PCOS. Another question, should everyone take progesterone the first weeks to avoid miscarriages? No, I have 2 healthy pregnancies. I've never taken progesterone in my life. And here's the thing, if your progesterone is low, that's a sign of an underlying imbalance that needs to be fixed. Just because you give your body progesterone, you're not giving your body energy. And maybe it will prevent the miscarriages in the early weeks, although for a lot of women it doesn't. I've had many patients come to me having already taken progesterone and still not getting pregnant or not maintaining a pregnancy because there is no magic pill that's going to help you maintain a pregnancy. The magic is in understanding what's going on in your body, why that's happening, and how you can really support and work with your body. Because your body is always supporting you. I can't say that enough. Your body's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to make you feel bad. Your body's always supporting you. It just might not feel comfortable at the moment. So I talk all about low progesterone and a short luteal phase in my podcast number 37. So if you're interested more in understanding the root cause of low progesterone, please check out that episode. So another question, my acupuncturist said hot showers could cause miscarriages. So my take on this is no. And again, as someone who has 2 babies and has taken hot showers most of my life. Now, the reason I could suspect your acupuncturist is saying this is because hot showers, too much heat can cause yang to rise in your body. And when your yang rises, yang is heat in your body, it's energy, it's fire. It's meant to be rooted down in our kidneys, but when it rises too much, it can cause blood and qi to move upward and scatter instead of descending and holding the uterus in place. Again, that being said, I wouldn't do things like sauna and hot workouts. I would avoid hot, spicy foods, but something like a hot shower, I don't believe is really strong enough to do that unless you're taking like 10 hot showers a day. That being said, don't burn yourself, take a warm shower. And the last question, and I really love this question, is how much is TCM going to help, or are there other factors at play or not? And to answer this, I need to explain the difference between TCM and classical acupuncture, which is what I do. So the short answer is no, TCM is not going to help, and there are other factors at play. And the other answer is yes, Chinese medicine can help, and there's no other factors at play that Chinese medicine can't help. So most people don't understand that TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, is not traditional at all. It's modern. TCM was created in the 1950s when Mao came into the head of the Communist Party in China. He decided he wanted to westernize China, so he got rid of acupuncture. He banned acupuncture and Chinese medicine from China. A few years later, he realized the hospitals were overrun and they needed to bring back acupuncture and Chinese medicine, but they wanted to do it in a really controlled manner. So they got a group together to make up a set of prescriptions and diagnoses and point systems to treat people But in doing so, they took away a lot of the channels, and especially the constitutional energy channels of Chinese medicine, because they really wanted to control it as part of the Communist Party. TCM is really a medicine that was created by a Communist Party. I think that's important to understand. In that time, people who did not practice according to these laws, bad things happened to them. So the answer to that is TCM has its limits and its restrictions. There's over 60 channels in Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and TCM only uses 12 of them. So there is a lot of limitations to TCM. That being said, classical Chinese medicine, which has been practiced for over 3,000, I think even 5,000 years, does not have these limitations. Classical Chinese medicine can treat anything. It can treat constitutional issues. It can treat genetic issues. It can treat cellular level issues. It can treat any issue in your body if you're working with someone who knows what they're doing. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question piggybacking off of that. Is it possible to get pregnant naturally after 2 chromosome abnormalities? And the answer to that is yes, because with classical Chinese medicine, we can treat genetic issues. We can understand why this is happening to your body. I think it's important to understand that, and this is not a Chinese medicine thing, this is Western medicine also, that genes can be turned on and off through proper nutrition, through proper lifestyle, through proper mindset, keeping the proper flow of energy in your body. Anything in your body can change. And anything that's happening to you right now that might feel uncomfortable, whether that be painful periods or reoccurring miscarriages, it's your body telling you that something's out of balance that needs to be examined. And once you examine it, really understand why your body is responding that way and learn how to support your body, to really support the root cause. Anything is possible. As always, thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please like, comment, and share with other people so that it can reach more and help more women. And as always, if you need support or you have questions, please reach out to me. My information is all in the show notes. And again, thank you so much for listening.